So today we talk about weight training. We're going to show you some exercises. A lot of runners ask me, why should I do weight training? I'm a runner, I'm not a weightlifter. That's true, but still doing weight training can really help you become a better runner. I would say if you have only time for 3 sessions a week, skip this video and just run. But if time is not a limiting factor, then definitely adding a weight session to your program can help you become a better runner. So what are we looking for in the gym? One big difference between professional runners and amateur runners is stride length. Professional runners are able to maintain a bigger stride length and keep that bigger stride length for a long period of time. So adding gym to your program, adding weight training can help you with that. It's not everything, it's not like a magic thing that immediately makes your stride longer, but it's part of the puzzle. And if you combine that with things like hill sprints and some plyometric exercises and just running fast, all these things combine to help you be a better runner. So we go to the gym generally to get stronger, to get better running form, and to increase our loadability. So what I mean with that is, from my experience, runners who do weight training are able to train harder without getting injured. So people sometimes see it as a way of preventing injuries. That's another way of looking at it. But in general, you can say that weight training helps your muscles, your tendons, your joints to get stronger so that you can actually make more mileage and train harder without getting injured. So how are we doing weight training? Runners also tell me, like, I don't want to get bulky. Yeah, I don't go to the gym because I want to stay thin. Yeah, that's true. We, as runners, we don't want to get bigger muscles. So the type of weight training we do, it's not designed for getting bigger muscles. Our goal is to use the muscles that we have in a better way, right? So how do we do that? So many times when we run, in general when we run or when we do anything actually, we use only a certain percentage of our muscle fibers, right? And weight training helps us to increase the amount of muscle fibers that we can use, right? So in that way, we use our muscles in a better way, we get stronger, we can get bigger strides, we can in general become better athletes with the same muscles, not by increasing our muscle pool, but increasing the number of muscle fibers that we recruit. We also call this neuromuscular connection. Neuromuscular means connection between the brain, the spinal cord, and the muscles. So we try to teach our brain to recruit more muscle fibers. That's our main goal when we come to do weight training. Okay, then before we start, first a warning. If you've never lifted weights, it can be tricky. So the first time you do it, make sure there's someone supervising you. Start with a bar only or with very light weights, because you don't want to get any injury or you don't want to injure other people also, right? So be careful, make sure you get some supervision. First exercise we're going to show you is the squats. If there's one exercise I would recommend for most runners, it's a squat exercise. Why? It's a great exercise for improving strength in your glutes, in your hamstrings and your quadriceps, but even apart from that, it's also a very good exercise for your core, your abdominals, your back, and it even works on your knees, your tendons, your ankles. It's almost like a full body exercise, right? So we're going to start with that. I'm going to give a small introduction, and then Collins is going to show the rest. We're going to start with the squat exercise. So first of all, make sure that the bar is at the right height. You want it to be a little bit below your shoulders, because if it's too high, you have to come on your toes to lift it off, which you don't want, right? So Collins is a pretty tall guy, so this is definitely not too high for him. He's going to stand in the middle and make sure that he puts his hands like on equal sides besides his body. And he's going to make sure that the bar is not laying in his neck where it's irritating, but laying on his shoulders, right? Okay. You can start. Yeah. So when doing this exercise, make sure you engage the abdominal and back muscles. It's really important that you put tension on your muscles and then while you do it, you have to keep your back in extension. Yeah, you don't want your back to be round like this, like flexed. You want it to be in extension so that you don't create any back problems. Okay? I would step a little bit forward if I were you, slightly. Okay. This is perfect. Collins is doing a perfect squat exercise where he has about 1 foot between his 2 feet, so in other ways you can say his feet are at shoulder width. He has his hands in a good position. He could probably move them a little bit further away until this thing here. Yeah, you don't want it to be too close to your head, because that way it's a little bit more unstable. And what he does very well is that he puts pressure on his heels, right? So you don't want to put pressure on your toes. If you put pressure on your toes, you're going to come like this, which you don't want. You want to make sure you have the pressure on your heels and you're going to sit down like you sit in a chair. Yeah, perfect. So Collins is going up, slowly down, slowly up, slowly down, slowly up. That's the way we normally do these exercises. Some middle distance runners do it in a little bit more explosive way, like going up slowly and like going up very fast, or even jumping up. For long distance runners, I wouldn't recommend that. Even for middle distance runners, I normally prefer to use plyometric exercises for that. So for today, we just show you this way. Okay, so when you do this exercise, when you start with a little bit warming up weight. You don't want to start immediately with a very high weight, so you have to warm up your body, kind of to prime your muscles, to get them ready, get a little bit of tension on your muscles, to avoid injury, of course. It's like warming up. So start with only the bar, or maybe with 10 kg on both sides to warm up your body. After that, you start with the real exercise. Since we are doing it for muscle recruitment and not to build muscle, we always do high weight, less repetition. Yeah, so high weight depends per person, of course, how much you do. My athletes normally go up to 150% of their body weight. So meaning someone who's like 50 kg would go up to 75 kg approximately. But this is not a rule, this is not fixed. It really depends on what someone can handle. Most important is that you start with a low number of repetitions, like 6 to 8 repetitions, and then between 1 and 3 sets. And as I always tell my runners, when you finish the 6th or the 8th, let's say the last repetition of your set, you should feel like you could do another 2 or 3 repetitions, but not another 10. If you could do another 10, it's too light for you. Yeah, so my athletes would start with a certain weight, and next week or 2 weeks later they add 5 kg, 10 pounds, and if they feel comfortable with that, they add a little bit again. So you keep on challenging your body. You don't stay for like 4 months, 5 months using the same weight. You have to try to keep increasing the weight, to keep challenging your body, keeping it heavy. At the same time, you don't want to lose form. So that's important that, you know, the last 2 repetitions, if you come up and you start like shaking, that's not a good thing. Okay, so the last, let's say you do 8 repetitions, then the number 7 and number 8 can be pretty tough. But again, you should maintain form and you should feel like you could do at least another 2 or 3 repetitions, right? So you start with 1 set of maybe 8 repetitions with a light weight. Then you take the weight that you can handle for between 1 and 3 sets of 6 to 8 repetitions. So a few more things we can say about the squat. Here we are using a loose bar. As you can see, this bar is not fixed inside a cage. In a lot of gyms you will find the bar that's fixed in a cage. In general, the loose bar is better for us runners because it challenges you a bit more, it asks a bit more from you in terms of balancing. So in that way it has a bit more impact on your tendons, your knees, your ankles, which is what we want, right? So I prefer you use a loose bar, not the one in a cage, the fixed bar. However, if you're just recovering maybe from a knee injury or an ankle injury, or if you're starting and you're not really sure of yourself, you're not really in control of the technique, you can start with a caged, with a fixed bar. But as soon as you're comfortable, move to the loose bar. Then finally, once you control the technique, you can shift to single leg squats. Okay, so finally, how often do we do these exercises? I give it to most of my professional runners once a week. Yeah, so once a week we're in the gym, we do the weight training. There are other times when we do core exercises and maybe some circuit exercises, but weight training normally once a week. And with many of my runners, I do it throughout the year, except for some weeks coming closer to their most important competition. So it's definitely not something that we do only 3 months a year, but I would say more like 8 to 9 months a year, right? So to sum it all up, squat exercise, the best way to recruit more muscle fibers and teach your body to be stronger with the muscles that you have. This will translate into better running form, bigger strides, and prevention of injuries, being able to train harder without getting injured. Yeah? Be careful when you do it, get supervision, start with a low weight, but build up your weight, try to limit the number of repetitions, go for high weight, less repetitions, once a week, and you're good to go.